I've figured out an explanation for what the Backrooms are. The Backrooms aren't misremembering necessarily how Clark said, seeing as they aren't a conscious being. It's more technological. See, the Backrooms were discovered right around the same time MRI machines were created. So, who's to say MRI machines weren't the gateway? Let me explain. We know Async was an MRI company before the Backrooms were discovered. Fast forward to 1989, the first ever portal opened by Async was opened using a low proximity magnetic distortion system. When this was used, it wreaked havoc all over the world, causing a much less stable Earth dimension, weakening the barrier between worlds. Many more disappearances followed after 1989, with Async ramping up their investigation in response. What's interesting about all this is Backrooms Overflow, the oldest Backrooms content we have, being set in early August of 1972, which is also the same year MRI machines were patented. The next piece of information we have jumps all the way to 1982, the prototype. In this video, it's the first real attempt at reaching the Backrooms, in which they set up a ball in the center of this machine where it eventually gets teleported into the Backrooms. In order to have built this machine, Async obviously would have had to know about the Backrooms, but we also know they started as an MRI company. Stay with me. So, MRI machines were patented, aka created, in 1972, the same year Async realizes there may be something beyond our world due to the solar storm Ivan Beck encountered in Backrooms Overflow. So then, in 1974, MRI machines were being tested on mice and other small rodents and birds, as well as other objects to test safety and other hazards. The first human was put into an MRI machine in 1977, then by 1979 they were able to make MRI scans take only minutes compared to hours. So why does this matter? We know the Backrooms have a lot of magnetic properties for both entering and exiting, but also existing. When the patent for MRIs came out to the public in 1972, so did the technology. Ivan Beck then was working on his own magnetic device when the solar storm hit and showed him proof of another world. Fast forward to MRI machines becoming mainstream, Ivan Beck starts Async as an MRI company to make money selling them to hospitals and to cover himself from being investigated on his work. But I believe MRI machines played a much bigger role than anticipated. I think they discovered that MRI machines act as a sort of transporter of memories to the Backrooms, essentially scanning people and their most prominent thoughts into the Backrooms to be transcribed into reality. Still lives in the Backrooms are seen as mostly correct looking, with anomalies on the outside of their body and just foam in the center, as if the data got mixed during the transfer. I think any magnetic use can lower the threshold to the Backrooms, and MRI machines are specifically built to scan people and gain information. I can further prove this theory based off one main image. In the unlisted video mar1190archive.tar, there's an image of the Backrooms with a much different look, different colored walls, and a more dream-like feel. We don't have an answer to how this image was obtained, but the photo is most likely from pre-1980s, and when you would start to think about how a photo could likely be obtained, I would point to MRI machines, seeing as they cast images. This isn't to say everything in the Backrooms was just imported from MRI machines. I don't think that's accurate. I think the Backrooms have always been able to feed off our information just due to our own magnetic field. But once Async opened up the original portal in 1989, null zones started appearing everywhere, and with that, so did the Backrooms absorption of information. When a null zone opens, I believe the closer you are to it, the more it's able to, quote, remember you, and the further you are, the less. Think about it in the Backrooms movie when Clark and his employees are filming his commercial. That is the exact moment the Backrooms, quote, remembers, with some shoes in the ground, the chair, very strange stuff, and really not much else there besides a large space. But down in the basement, not only are the Backrooms able to mess with the wall it's connected to in the real world, when Clark enters, it's just a massive pile of items he would sell or have in his establishment. Then obviously once you're in the Backrooms, all it does is try and gain information, then build it. So it then builds off you. This is further confirmed during the rope scene. Clark tells his employee to go down and look at this room he hasn't seen yet. We learn this is essentially the monster's lair and trophy room, killing and or eating any still life person or really thing it comes across and bringing the mess back here. The mess being clothing, which later Clark makes a very adamant point that every part of the still life is edible besides the clothing. So down in the lair we see the employee's end apartheid shirt, the same one he's currently wearing. This confirms one of two things. Either the still lives were created and killed in the time that they entered the Backrooms that day, or back during the filming of the commercial when it scanned them, it also created their still lives. Either way, it gives a reason to know the closer you are to a null zone, or really a higher magnitude magnetic field, the Backrooms has more reach into our world world and then has a better time copying the surroundings, even if that includes you. You might ask then, if this is true, why at the end of the Backrooms movie were they scanning Pirate Clark in an MRI machine? If it really does scan his information into the Backrooms, would that not be alarming? Maybe something you shouldn't do? I think not. Pirate Clark originated as a Backrooms entity. Following the rules set by the Backrooms, you could assume there's multiple still lives of Pirate Clark, or more to come. Scanning him is so little risk and would give them such valuable information on questions like what's inside of a still life, does their brain produce activity, do they even have a brain, and etc. I do still think there would be some risk associated to it though. So yeah, that's really my thoughts, but let me know what y'all think. Maybe I'm super off and there's some information I'm missing that clicks everything into place, but who knows?